Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. It's Friday, it's 5pm, and we are coming at you with some hot off the press, lovely beery news.
Love and beery news, Johnny.
Love and beery news. Do you want to tell them?
Well, Johnny, we had such a lovely time last year with all you lovely, lovely people that came to our 10th anniversary festival that we thought, why don't we do it again, eh? Why don't we do it again, Johnny? It was kind of really stressful, but it was also amazing. And I didn't get drunk because I was talking to so many people that I didn't have time to drink any beer. But it was awesome. It was awesome. So,
yeah, I mean, when you went halfway through that, you were like, why wouldn't we do it again? And I was like, well, there were lots of reasons why, which is why we have teamed up with sponsor of this podcast, Patreons of the channel, and absolute bestie friends, the Malt Miller.
They're great, aren't they? We love the Malt Miller. And, yeah, we're teaming up with them. They're helping us with all the logistics and stuff. And they're bringing a special Malt Miller-y flavour element, aren't they, Johnny, which I'm very excited about. Something that we couldn't accomplish without them.
Exactly. We are dosing our festival with... no, I'm not going to torture that metaphor any further. We're going to have a homebrew tent filled with some of the UK's most talented home brewing clubs, serving up some delicious pro-quality beer for free to all of you folk that come down. And there will be some kind of, details TBC, competition element to this. Maybe a public vote on the day or something. And also they will be building, probably based on the beers, but also based on the bars. They're going to be building exciting bars at which to serve their delicious beers. So this comes out of the fact that BrewCon isn't happening this year, so there's no sort of big gathering of homebrewers. And we thought, well, if we're going to work with the Malt Miller, we should be doing this all together. So Malt Miller came to us with this idea, and we went, yeah, sounds amazing. Yeah, so it's going to be more of the same, everything that we loved from last year. We're not like halving anything. We're adding to it, aren't we, Johnny? There's going to be, I reckon there's going to be more bottle shares, more street food, more snacks, more collabs, more music, and then, like, literally infinity more homebrew, because there wasn't any homebrew last time.
I reckon, Johnny, this time we should get you on the karaoke, singing Drops of Jupiter and maybe some other sort of liquid-themed songs. What do you reckon?
Yes. I can't see I can't see what could go wrong there.
Maybe we could even write a Craft Beer Channel theme tune in time for the festival, and you could perform it with your old band, your old covers band.
We haven't got the budget for my old wedding band, Bradley.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, we charge wedding prices.
Yeah. That sounds expensive. Yeah, okay, fair enough.
But if you are having a wedding, I'll bring them out of retirement. Anybody out there planning on it?
What are there? Have you got a good name for the wedding band? What
we were called Johnny and the Dicks.
No way.
Because two of the other members were called Richard.
Mate, that is very juvenile.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, nobody was putting that on their wedding invites.
Johnny and the Dicks, eh? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether we actually announced ourselves as that. It was the name of the WhatsApp group. I don't know whether it was ever made public until, I guess, now.
There's a pretty cool Australian girl-fronted rock band that I like called Amil and the Sniffers, which has got a similar vibe to Johnny and the Dicks. Amil and the Sniffers, go check them out. They're quite cool. They're like a bit like what are they called? The No Smoko lot, who are also quite fun. I can't remember what those guys are called either.
The No Smoko?
Yeah, that's their big song, No Smoko.
I don't know
The
what you're talking
Chats.
about.
The Chats. They're like sort of slightly punky, just like raucous indie rock music from Australia. That's just a bit silly. But yeah, they've got a song called Smoko, which is about being on your smoking break. So you're not doing anything because you're on Smoko, which I quite like as a concept. It's anything they get asked to do, I'm on Smoko. That's what their response is. It's good. Go check it out, people.
Unless you're booking for a wedding. Doesn't sound like a wedding band.
Yeah. You want to get Johnny and the Dicks or Amil and the Sniffers for that.
Yeah, the more we say it, the more I regret announcing the name of my wedding band. If it hadn't been for the very exciting, oh my God, Bradley, you haven't even said the important thing. So we haven't got all the details lined up, so we can't give you more information about the festival yet, other than the date. This is, despite the fact that we're 5 minutes in and we haven't mentioned the date, a save the date announcement.
Oh yeah,
the date is the 14th of September.
14th September. That's a good date. It's a Saturday, isn't it? I believe
it's a Saturday.
What a great
September.
day of the week. I think that's my favourite day of the week, Johnny, because you get to have Sunday to recover. I'm not saying if you get, you overdrink or anything. I'm just saying we're going to be doing a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever you get up to, maybe you're going to walk there from a different part of London or whatever. But, you get the whole of Sunday to recover. So that's a great, great day. And I'm predicting beautiful sunshine.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Potentially a little bit of wind, but not a lot. But depends how much you drink, obviously. How much you drink of the homebrew, potentially, as to how much wind you might perceive. I'm predicting great weather, Johnny. Great weather.
Right. 6
I'm doing
months
a Michael
out.
Fish. Yeah. Long prediction. I've looked into my crystal balls, and they've told me it's going to be an absolute...
How many balls do you have?
Bonza day, mate. It's going to be a bonza.
Okay, Bradley. So, yeah, that's the announcement. It's taken us 5 minutes, but 14th of September, we're hosting a festival called Love and Beer, very similar to the last one, but with a homebrew element, 14th of September, at Hackney Brewery in North London. Venue in there as well. We're pros.
14th September.
14th September. If it hadn't been for that huge announcement, I was going to start this podcast by trying my hand at a Bradley-like derailment.
Oh, I can't wait, Johnny. This is really exciting. Bring it.
Because Brad is not the only person on this podcast that has dreams. Occasionally I dream, and I, for the first time, managed to combine my two... Are they my two greatest passions? I'd say beer, tennis, and bread.
Wow.
Probably my greatest passions. Oh,
What a
and
triplet.
music. But I had a dream, Bradley. I had a dream, right? That I was at an Augustiner taproom.
I'm with you, yes. I love this.
Yeah, that was also like a kind of all-inclusive resort swimming pool.
So you've moved the Augustiner tap room into Centre Parks.
Pretty much, but I mean better than Centre Parks because basically I was in a swimming pool.
Yeah.
Sat at the bar in the swimming pool, had one of those bars where you sit still in the water, and they were serving me Augustiner with like 3 inches of head in a Willy Betcher or a Willy Becker.
That sounds great, but it sounds perilous in a swimming pool.
Yeah, I can imagine it going very wrong for you very quickly.
Yeah, bottle. I'd definitely be on the bottle, especially in Augustiner. For show.
The additional element, which is probably going to be less interesting to you, and probably, to be fair, most of our listeners, is that for some reason, with me on this drinking experience, was Jannik Sinner, world number 3 tennis player, I think.
You certainly do have dreams, sir. Number 3.
Yeah, and we were having a great time.
How great?
Like the absolute best.
Were you laughing and
I think we played a bit of keepy uppy with a beach ball. We drank lots of Augustiner, and then because obviously dreams fade. It's like trying to cup water. So I actually wrote down my dream afterwards. I was like, "That's great for the podcast," And what I wrote down was essentially what I've told you, minus the beach ball bit. I don't know whether I've sort of added that to my subconscious later because it just sounded fun. But we stayed so late that the pub / all-inclusive Augustiner resort closed. And we had to... Well, I somehow got some bolt cutters and cut my way through the chain link fence that was surrounding it to escape.
Wow.
And Yannick Sinner just walked through the gate that was
Holy cow.
just there. That I didn't see.
That's great. So you kept the party going. Amazing.
Yeah,
That's
I can only
interesting.
presume it's just me and Yanni just living at large by the end. Everyone else had gone home.
When do you think you had this dream? What day do you predict this was?
It was... Actually, I can look in my notes. 1 second.
Yeah.
It was Sunday night.
Wow. Okay. So Sunday, I was in Margate having a drink with my girlfriend's dad, who's helping me build some stuff. We were drinking some beer at a first birthday party for Picnic, which is a local bottle shop. Shout out First Birthday for Picnic in Margate. And we were just sort of outside having a bit of birthday cake. They gave us a little bit of birthday cake as well. And this family pulled up next to us on the sort of seats opposite, and they looked very dismayed. The dad looked really upset, and he was rifling through all the bags that he had with him. They all had bicycle helmets on, and then eventually Eric, who I was with, asked him what was going on, and he said he'd handed his bag to his small child, who was about 4 years old, which had the bicycle lock key in it, and the kid had lost the key somehow, so their bicycle was chained up. Well, it was actually de-locked up, just down the road outside the International Food Market, Johnny. Just a bit of context there. So Eric, being very helpful, said, "I've got some tools. Let me see what I can do."
Wait, he procured a bolt cutter from nowhere.
We didn't have a bolt cutter, but we're doing quite a lot of building. So he had a reciprocating saw with a metal cutting blade on it. You need an angle grinder, really, to get through a D-lock. So I was dubious. And we went back with his little Bichon Frise poodle dog called Lottie. Walked down the road. Yeah, nice little detail.
How do you remember the name of the dog, and yet you can't remember episodes we shot 3 weeks ago?
I don't know. Lottie's a beautiful soul. And yeah, we walked back and met the guy at a bike, which we presume is his bike. I think it was an elaborate ruse if it wasn't.
Yeah, it could have been.
And anyway, Eric started going at it with the reciprocating saw with the metal blade. And it didn't look like it was doing anything. It was just getting through the rubber a little bit. But it was shaking the lock an awful lot, right? So he had to go on one side of the shackle, no joy. And I said, that hasn't really done anything, has it? Nope. He moved to the other side of the shackle for one more go. And then he said to the guy, I think you're going to need an angle grinder, mate. And as he said that, he held the bottom of the lock. And the bottom of the lock just fell apart in his hands.
Wow. Are we going to name the brand of D-lock here?
It had rubbed off. But it looked quite beefy. And I said to the guy, what? I was like, what is up with your lock, dude? Like, that just literally fell apart. I was like, you didn't even cut that bit. I said, your lock was more decorative than anything, right? At this point.
Placebo lock.
Yeah, he's like, you probably could have done that yourself there, sir. Anyway.
Did you say sir? Very polite of you.
But he was obviously over the moon, Johnny. And you just reminded me when you said you cut the gates open. I was like, well, Eric did this similar thing to keep the party going, Johnny, for this family who were trying to get home on their bicycles. So there you go. Full circle, mate. Boom.
Wow,
Makes the world go round, doesn't it? There you go.
Epic. Derailments there. Getting back to beer.
Yeah.
I think I had my beer-based dream. I don't know where Yannick Sinner came into this, but I think the lager was on my brain because I'm currently planning the second test run of our Czech Pilsner.
Yes.
And so I was bringing, and we're going to be filming a homebrew next week with a different project, making an IPL, which we'll announce everything once that's more further down the road. But I had a go on the Grainfather for the first time in a couple of months on Friday.
It looked pretty fun from the Insta post you were putting up.
I had great fun. I forgot how much fun homebrew is if you're not also filming it. If you're filming it, it gets very stressful very quickly. And we always think, there's time when the boil's happening, when the mash is happening. But it just doesn't seem to pan out that way for us because all is chaos. But, so I just brewed, used sort of some of the short and shoddy, as Brewlosophy would call it, stuff that we did for the 48-hour brew. Or nice. 35 hours in the end, wasn't it? To make a Kvike beer. So I made a Kvike Pale Ale with essentially kind of the... What would you say? The using up what's in my fridge.
Nice.
So had a bunch of hops that I hadn't. Well, they're still fresh, still well within date, but I didn't have a plan for. So there was some Mosaic, there was some Citra, Incognito, a little bit of Cascade went in. So sort of a cobbled together recipe. But I can tell you. I did a tweet about this. It's an absolute joy to have the airlock blipping away in the studio and the glycol chiller drowning out all my phone calls. But it's great to have the aroma of fermenting yeast and dry hops emanating throughout the studio. I say that like it's big enough to have something go throughout it, but it's a joy. And I miss homebrew more now than I did the week before I brewed. I want to get brewing again. I'm itchy to go.
You've picked off the scab of home brewing. And it's seeping all over you, Johnny.
Perfect. Carry on.
Immersing you in a viscous hoppy liquid.
Yep.
Water, if you will, of hot, slightly warm liquid.
No.
Metaphorical liquid, Johnny.
All I really need is because on Tuesday when I attempt the lager, I'm going to be decocting, so I'll be sick of homebrew by the end of that. This summer, I'm going to be hosting talks at the Manchester, Bristol and London craft beer festivals, giving festival goers the chance to attend tutored tastings, rare beer pours, meet the brewers and even guided tours of the bars. These 3 festivals are the highlights of my events calendar, featuring some of the world's best breweries with delicious restaurant pop-ups, great music and a really welcoming party atmosphere. It's the 3rd year I've been hosting the We Are Beer Tastings table, but for the first time I'm delighted to offer all of our listeners, viewers and Patreons £5 off a ticket when you use the code CBC5. Just hit the link in the description to buy. See you there.
It's your birthday, isn't it? It's your birthday. That's what you're doing on your birthday, right?
Yeah, I'm going to brew a Czech Pilsner, drink some Czech Pilsner, and probably eat pizza.
Nice.
Maybe I'll call up Yannick, see if he wants to hang out.
Yeah, why not?
He's busy bossing it over at the Monte Carlo clay court tournament at the moment, but he might pop over.
Does he like pizza?
Well, I mean, he's Italian.
Okay, he likes pizza then.
Yeah, probably does.
I imagine he orders the nation's favourite with the French fries on top. Sounds wrong, doesn't it? That's Italy's favourite pizza topping. They have French fries and some other crap on the top of it.
I think you've been on the weird bits of the internet again, haven't you, Brad?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Always on the weird bits, Johnny. That's where all the action is, mate.
Is it? Yeah, I can imagine. So, actually, no, we've got another bit of beer-related content from this week, Bradley.
No way.
Because this week I managed to, what's the word? Frustrate the chief executive of Camera.
Oh, nice work. Good stuff.
Which is great considering we're trying to get together our next Cars Gale campaign. Just thought I'd piss off the largest consumer group in Europe that happens to be on our side.
Christ.
But Camera, and just to be clear, I love this from Camera. And I think that my words were misinterpreted. So Marston's. Do you remember about a year ago, Otter Brewery down in Devon came up with this idea of pouring essentially keg beer through a cask handle?
Yeah, they were calling it live or something, weren't they?
Yeah. And we ridiculed it because it's stupid. Well, Marston's have, a year later, had exactly the same idea.
Oh, wow.
And this time, Camera have clearly had enough. And they've sent a letter to trading standards.
Okay.
Saying
they're really upset this is not cask.
Yeah, well, they're saying that this is pretending to be cask when it patently isn't.
Cultural appropriation, mate.
Exactly. Well,
kind of.
I guess to some extent. I mean, really, it's just. I mean, it is misdirection. It's not cask ale, but it's coming from what is perceived as a cask ale handle. And so they've written this letter to Lord Bitchard, chair of the National Trading Standards, and they've made that letter live, as you should do as a campaigning organisation. It shows that you're doing it.
Bitchard.
Bitchard.
Lord Bitchard and the Bitches. That's his wedding.
That's his wedding band. or Lord Bitch and the Ards. And I tweeted. They tweeted this letter, and I just tweeted. Well, I'll read the tweet. I said, "This is deliciously petty, and I'm here for it," which is a show of support, right?
Well, I don't know. That sounds like you're saying that they shouldn't have done it. Basically,
I mean,
you're taking the piss.
No. I'm saying I'm here for it, but I'm saying
petty.
It is
so
petty,
the word petty. Yeah,
but they don't.
Cool.
They don't have a leg to stand on here. There's no legal definition of cask.
Not
so
yet,
it's only
Johnny.
what Camera claim that it is. Most consumers do not understand that cask only comes from hand pools. Most people don't call it cask. They might call it ale versus beer or ale versus keg. It's assuming far too much. There's no legal justification. No legal precedent for it. It's a spurious letter, which I'm 100% here for, because I think that we should be kicking up a fuss because it's outrageous that Marston's are trying to do this. But so I thought it was deliciously petty. I thought.
I mean, I'm there for it too.
Yeah. Anyway, so Tom Stainer, who's the chief exec, he replied, "Not sure there's anything petty about concerns for further restriction of independent brewer access to market, consumers being misled, and an erosion of what signifies cask."
Damn, Johnny, what have you done?
Well, I completely agree with Tom. That's why I wanted to talk about it on the podcast. I agree with everything that Camera did before and everything that Tom says in his riposte. And I'm sorry if you read me saying deliciously petty as an insult. I consider it quite the compliment. All the best people are deliciously petty.
You've just broken my my not being able to remember what I was drinking at the weekend as well, Johnny.
How about you've remembered?
Yeah, I remember one of the beers that I was drinking, one of the cask beers that I drank while I was in Margate working. I was at the Harbour Arm, Johnny, and I drank. This is the reason why you've reminded me, because this is kind of pertinent. It was called Mild Disobedience, right? So that's kind of like that brewery. They're being mildly disobedient to the
I get it. Thank you. Yeah,
to the system or whatever. And
how was that mild tasting?
Tasted great, man. It was a dark mild. It tasted brilliant. I had a pint of it. Sat out watching the rolling waves because it was a little bit windy. It was beautifully sunny, but a little bit windy. And I'd ridden down on my mountain bike with my girlfriend. We'd ridden down the coastal path, which was awesome. And we were having our first pint after doing a bit of work. So it was awesome. And the guy said it wasn't a mild, but I mean it was a dark mild. He said it wasn't, but it definitely was.
What did he mean it wasn't a mild?
I don't know. He was like, I said, "Is it a mild then?" And he said, "Oh no, it's not a mild. It's not that style." I was like, "Okay." He said, "But you'll love it." I was like, "Okay, great. I'll have a pint." But yeah, I mean, it was a dark mild. It was dark. It was biscuity.
Lowish ABV.
Yeah, I'm just looking now. 4%er. So yeah.
What was the brewery?
Mad Cat Brewery, and they are from Where are they from? They're from around that way. They're from Kent somewhere.
Right.
I can't remember exactly where in Kent, but they're a local brewery. Somewhere in Kent, Johnny. Faversham. They're in Faversham, home of Shepherd Neame.
Yeah.
So yeah, little guys in Faversham.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, I'll watch out for the not mild that's called mild.
Mild
looking forward to that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So apologies, apologies to Tom Stainer and everybody at camera. I'm enjoying your work because it's delicious and petty. Right. Okay. What have we got? We've got this week's video.
We're there already. Wow.
Yeah, we're steaming through this. My derailments don't send us quite as far off track, I don't think.
Don't touch the sides, mate.
Don't touch the sides. Well, I mean, before we get there, I'd quite like your opinion on whether camera are right to do what they've done. Do you think it is outrageous to serve non-cast through cast camples?
100%. I think it's interesting marketing from the guys that are wanting to do that. But it serves no purpose. Like, who are they? What are they trying to achieve? They're basically selling it's a keg beer, right? But they're trying to serve it through a kind of beer machine cask line.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they're thinking it might be like a bridge, because I presume just like us, it will be slightly lower carved. It will be served a little bit warmer.
It'll last longer, right? In the keg.
Oh yeah, than a cask.
So for them, they're probably selling it in like you can serve something that looks like cask, kind of maybe tastes like cask, through a cask line. That the shelf life is like 3 times longer at least.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest, let's be real here. And if Marstons are listening and want to reach out and say I'm talking nonsense, feel free. But it is deliberately misleading, because you're not going to convince people. You know, somebody stood at the bar, doesn't know what they want, and the bar staff go, oh, we'll try this. It's not cask ale, it's fresh ale, it's different. They're going to be like, no, I don't understand that at all. I want something else. So they're not going to be converting new people. What they're doing is they'll be pouring keg through a cask ample and hoping that people don't check or ask or know.
So do they
so
serve
that they can
it...
have longer shelf time?
Yeah, longer shelf time. Do they serve it colder like a keg beer?
No, I think to all intents and purposes, if you are a drinker, they're hoping you won't notice any difference other than they don't have to chuck it away after 48 hours.
It's a really... I can see why that would scare and annoy camera, because if that was to take hold, it could kill cask, couldn't it? I think if anything, they need to get more militant on this, Johnny. I went to watch Civil War, the new film that's out. Yeah, a preview screening the other night, Johnny.
Oh, God.
That is very it's a very extreme film, Johnny, but very extreme views going on there, and I could see camera fitting in quite well with some of the extremists. But obviously, they're lovely people that have got a good reason for why they're wanting to protect our wonderful culture, Johnny, that we've got here, our unique drinking culture. So I stand with them as well. I wish I hadn't related it to Civil War. Now I've just said it. But there you go.
Yeah, I mean...
But we're having a beer Civil War, Johnny. We're having a beer Civil War, mate.
Good Lord. Well, I mean, that's how we started this year, didn't we? We said there was a Civil War, or there were wolves or something. I'm just on the Carlsberg Marston's Brewing Company website.
Yeah.
In which, firstly, they call it an innovation, which is just patently not. It's been done by Otter a year before you, Brewdog 4 or 5 years before you. It's done by craft breweries all over the world, because it's just beer that's, conditioned in keg. So it is re-fermented under natural carbonation in keg. But I mean, the first sentence explains what they're doing. It says, fresh ale marries the exquisite flavour and body similar to cask ale, but with a shelf life of up to 14 days.
Okay.
So that just spells it out to me. And they make a fair point that, in places that can't get through enough cars quickly, this might be a good alternative.
Yeah.
But man, if you are marketing it to look like cask, then your motives can't be entirely.
It's pretty disingenuous to do that marketing wise. I think I can see it from both sides, but I think it's really bad that they're pulling it through a beer engine, because we all know that's where you're getting your cask beers from. So it's hiding what it is, and it's being dishonest in that regard.
And the thing is, I don't think it will work. It won't work because it will only work in one way. The only way it will work is if people don't realise anything's changed.
Yeah.
If people notice it's changed, then standard keg drinkers that they might want to convert, they're not going to be interested in it because they'll be like, oh, so it's like keg, it's like cask, and anybody that loves cask will be like, well, that's not how it should be served. So it can only work by deceiving people.
Yeah.
So
what'll be next, Johnny? They already have wine on tap, don't they, in some bars? And I've seen cocktails on tap.
Oh yeah.
So I think we should open up an all cask beer engine bar, but we're going to serve
cocktails to it.
We're going to serve cocktails, cold brew coffee through another one, cocktails, weenay, maybe natural weenay through one, and some live. What are they calling it? Live what?
Fresh
I can't
ale.
remember what it's called. Fresh ale.
I think live ale was Brewdog. I forget what Otter called theirs.
So what we're going to call our bar, Johnny? We're going to serve everything through beer engines, but no cask. We're just going to have cold brew coffee, weenay, cocktails, pre-made cocktails, and some live beer. No, I don't know what they're calling it. I keep forgetting. fresh ale, fresh beer. It doesn't work. It doesn't work, mate, because I've forgotten it already. They might as well get rid. We're gonna feature it in our bar though. What are we calling our bar?
The fake-in.
The fake-in.
The Firkin fake-in.
The Lord Firkin.
The
Lord Fakin or something.
Something around that. Fake it till you make in with two N's. No.
Firkin unbelievable. Firkin wrong. Firkin.
Well, it's got to end in. That's the gag, isn't it?
Firkin in. Firkin L.
No, but it's
I don't know.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do the video, shall we?
Yeah.
So this week's video, thankfully, is not on the topic of cask ale or Yannick Sinner. It is about the Belgian Triple, and specifically the mother of triples, which is the glorious, the dry, the champagne of Antwerp, Westmalle Triple. 5-6 minutes of video without a single sip of beer, Bradley.
Dude, it was hard, and it was more like 15 minutes before you edited it.
Yeah, man, maybe longer. Yeah.
Your brain capacity for dates and facts on that day was truly impressive. I can't remember if that was the first. I think it might have been the first video he shot, but I was just in awe of. I think you only got one thing wrong, which was someone. No, you commented and said error alert. For no reason at all, we said Westmalle Extra is 5.5%, but it's 4.8%.
Yeah,
and I think that was all you got wrong. Amazing.
I don't know why. I I said 5.5.
Feels. Yeah.
Do you know what? Maybe it's wrong in Jeff Vandersteen's book. I'd be amazed if it is, but maybe it is wrong in there, and that's where I read it just before we went. Sorry, I'm just trying to dig out the book. But yeah, I'm not quite sure why I got that wrong, because I think I got everything else right. And it is a bit like cramming for an exam. I'm not gonna lie. Like if you'd asked me what those dates are now, I probably couldn't tell you. I could tell you 1934 was when Westmalle installed the new brewery, and 1935 is when the Triple came out, but that's sort of stuck in my brain and has been for a while. But yeah, most of it's now gone. So genuinely, when I was writing, so I've just finished writing, just submitted my 5,000-word epic about Westfalen, which is going to be on Belgian Smack, presumably in a couple of years with the amount of editing that it will need. I literally used our video as reference. When I was forgetting things, I was going back and watching myself say things on camera, which is a weird place to find yourself in.
Mm.
But yeah, so Westmalle, like an incredible story of perseverance from the monks, right?
I mean, these monks, they're like the sort of Rambos of monks, aren't they? They kind of keep getting knocked down.
I don't know whether Rambo
keep
keeps
getting
running
up
away
again.
to Germany.
No, but he was kind of like unstoppable and like just like pure perseverance despite all the odds. A one man or a one monk killing machine. But I'm not sure what they're killing. They're just killing it, making excellent beers that they're getting better and better all the time, Johnny, because they care about the beers they make, even though they're on a big old scale. But yeah, I did like. It's not a quote from. Sorry, it wasn't a viewer's message, but I liked when you were talking about speaking to a monk in the video. You'd spoken to a monk, and he said, unlike other breweries, monks invest inwards to make the best beer. I like that idea of investing inwards, Johnny. It's quite a sort of philosophical thing, is it? You're investing in yourself. I'm going to invest inwards, Johnny. I'm going to invest in myself.
It does sound like somebody who, I know, drinks smoothies for breakfast and does yoga would say.
Yeah.
I'm really investing inwards this year.
I'm investing inwards. But they've been doing it for like 100 years. They've been investing inwards.
Yeah,
right?
1834, I think, possibly is when they first
More
brewed.
than 100 years. Way more than 100 years. And that helps them improve their processes and make the best beer that they can make at 120 hec. And not wanting to get bigger.
120,000 hec.
120k hec. Sorry, I said 120 hec. Yeah. So they're like, they're driven by a different metric, Johnny, than lay people. I loved all of the chat of them helping out all the other Trappist breweries with their yeasts and with their processes and like everything. Like, it's such a sort of sharing, open philosophy that I think it's like the best of all of us in beer. You know, like the way that they act towards their community, I thought was sublime, Johnny, almost godlike.
Yeah,
in their openness and
I mean, openness with other monasteries, sure. I mean, they won't.
Oh,
Westmalle let me into
you.
the brewery, but nothing else. Which I also understand. Maybe less so with Westmalle, but the smaller ones where they sell everything that they make without ever having to worry. You know, there's if you can have a bit of peace, you should take it. Is my philosophy there, and I apologise to the good folk at Westmalle for me hounding you for the last year while writing that article. But yeah, I mean, it's a magical beer, and I often wonder, you know, and I think I have even on the channel, like, how is it hype, or is it right that the Trappist beers are so well regarded? Because how could some monks produce the best beer in the world? And kind of the answer is that A, they don't produce it themselves, really, with the exception of Westmalle, and B, because they invest inwardly, which sounds utterly preposterous, but what it basically means is rather than looking to expand and spread, they invest on just doing better at what they already do at the size that they do it, which isn't really possible of commercial breweries that, you know, due to ramping inflation and spiraling costs and extra taxes and stuff, means that you either have to grow and make more product and more money that way, or you have to increase your prices and make more money that way, and one of those is going to upset your audience and the other one probably isn't. So it's natural that you choose to expand.
Do we think there are other examples of this outside of the monastic brewing? Like, could we say Evan at oh my god, Colonel? Where's my brain gone? Could we say Evan at Colonel is sort of like almost like a similar approach, right?
I mean, he has a monkish aura to him.
He does.
But no, his brewery's expanding.
Is it expanding? It's expanding very slowly, Johnny. It's like
Colonel, one of those breweries where people don't realise how big they are. You know, in relative terms, they're pushing. Well, when I last spoke to Evan about his production volumes, I think he said they were at about 9,000 hectolitres, which would put them in the top 100 probably breweries in the UK.
Yeah.
But most breweries in the UK only make about 1,000 hec. And many breweries, up until recently, got to 5,000 and stayed there because there's a tax break. So they're probably more monkish. Probably, Burning Sky might be a better example because they have sat at the same size for quite a long time.
Nice.
And have invested inwardly, more barrels, being able to do more of the stuff that they love to make, sort of the big bottle format, fruited, wild ales, lambic-inspired beers. People like Mills, who have a very similar approach as well. It's like, we don't want to grow, we just want to make the stuff we want to make. And sometimes that's possible, sometimes it's not. But with the Belgian Trappist monasteries, it is possible because of the reputation that they have. They know that they'll always sell out, so all they need to do is keep improving, keep on monking.
Keep on monking about.
Yeah,
I mean, it's... Yeah, their sort of timescale is bonkers compared to any craft beer breweries, isn't it? Just to think about them being around for, a couple of 100 years. We're talking about, I guess, the only sort of, not only, but the kind of rival sort of ones would be breweries in Czech or in Germany that are kind of got this same long lineage. But, in a lot of places in the world, that just seems mental to think about such a long timescale brewing the same beer. I mean,
some of the Trappists are younger than sort of British regional ale breweries, but definitely it's a timescale that most brewers can't even really comprehend. And certainly, I guess it's very easy, and I've been guilty of it in the past, of worrying about how long this will last. But actually, the number of monks seems fairly stable at some of these monasteries. Whereas, we recently learned that the Adnams are possibly looking for an outright sale because their finances are that stricken. So, actually, we shouldn't be worrying too much about how many monks are left, and we should be worrying more about how our corporate-sided businesses are doing, because they're really, really struggling. Whereas 120,000 hectolitres of triple is a pretty good business model in Belgium, at least.
Mm-hmm. This whole time you've been talking then, Johnny, I was thinking about The Fifth Element, the Bruce Willis film. Do you remember that film?
I mean, I assume when I'm talking, your brain goes somewhere like that.
I was just thinking, there are these sort of creatures that are in control of the elements, right? And at the start of the movie, they're kind of moving them around and stuff, and they're in the pyramids, and one of them's trying to get out of the pyramid, but they move very slow. And he gets trapped inside the pyramid as it's closing, and he just puts his massive hand out with this key thing on the end of his finger, and he goes, "Time is not important, only life is." And then the little kid snaps the key off, and then that gets taken down the generations. But it's reminding me of the monks, because there are like space monks in that, and their kind of philosophy of keeping life, the life of what it is they're doing, the essence of what they're doing over the span of time. It just resonated with me, Johnny. I might have to
remind me to never take you to a Trappist monastery, because if you start, they go like, "Do you have faith?" and you'll be like, "Well, I watched The Fifth Element once," and there were these.
It's quite persuasive. These space monks, they seem like they're talking a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yes. Right. Yes. Any comments, Bradley? Any comments on the video that you enjoyed?
Oh, comments on the video. We have a few comments. We've got one from Lord Voldemort.
Oh my God.
Hello, Lord Voldemort. Great profile picture. He or they reckon that Extra is, in my opinion, the best on ABV versus flavour scale. I thought the Extra was great, wasn't it? Like, as a sort of sessionable beer, you're not wrong there, Lord Voldemort.
Even for a 4.8% beer.
Yeah. Yeah, not a 5.5.
Yeah.
Robert Joyce, keep on monking. It's words to live by, I think, at this point. Down our Trappist shit, or whatever it was. I think I had that as a comment. We're on our Trappist shit again. Where's it gone? Startled Milk. This is in air quotes. Back on our Trappist bullshit. That was an amazing attempt to be hip and cool, and it made me belly laugh in the bathroom at work.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from. I apologise to everyone who was
because you're
offended.
hip and cool. You're hip and cool.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to be hip and cool. I am hip and cool.
Oh yeah, of course.
Just didn't come, didn't come across that way.
Jokin Milson says Malt Triple is just so good and dangerously easy drinking. You're not wrong. It is so good, and it's certainly dangerous. Very dangerous, Johnny. In fact,
yeah, it really is. I've got in a lot of trouble in Belgium on multiple occasions because of Malt Triple.
Yes. What about you? What comments you got on the go?
Well, I mean, there was one I just wanted to read out. I like to pick out ones that start conversations, but I mean, maybe this one will. But Jarvis Lives says, your videos are some of the best on YouTube, and Brad is a legend, smiley face.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Jarvis.
And Jarvis, well, I don't know whether he's Jarvis. He's just telling us that Jarvis lives.
Jarvis lives.
Yeah.
Do you think he's referring to Jarvis from Iron Man, who was the AI thing? Or do you think he's talking about Jarvis Cocker? Or
Well, probably not Jarvis Cocker, because he does.
He does live, yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
I saw the other day.
It's not newsworthy of a username on YouTube.
Yeah, I saw a photo of him from the 90s, and it said girlfriend Chloe Sevigny, which I didn't know he dated Chloe Sevigny.
I don't know who that is.
She's like indie hipster cinema dream girl who was in loads of like cool films in the 90s, kids and all sorts of films.
Yeah.
Apparently they dated, which I don't remember, and I wasn't aware of. So I would have thought they'd be quite different people, maybe with things in common. I don't know, common people. But I'm trying to. They didn't make any babies though, Johnny. Babies is one of my favourite pulp songs / videos. Great video. But yeah. How else can I bring this back?
Oh, I was hoping you were going to keep going. I was just letting that one ride. Peter out.
Well, we've got Jarvis. Obviously, we were talking about blowing off earlier. If you drink too much homebrew, Jarvis famously jumped up on the stage of an award ceremony, didn't he, when MJ was playing, and started fanning his bottom as if he was farting all over at the stage. Yeah, so there we go. That's all I've got. Oh, and I did meet him. I met him on a doorstep. A hotel stairs in Australia, where my sister won a radio competition to go to Australia on Australia Day. Sponsored by that? Foster's.
Yeah, there you go.
Foster's, mate. There you go. We talked about that before, but there we go. That's all the Jarvis I've got. I'm all Jarvised out.
I mean, that was plenty of Jarvis, to be fair.
It was quite a lot of Jarvis, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I got one more Jarvis.
Oh, my goodness.
Ben Reimer, who we know, who was in Fat Trucks, made a record, I think, last year or the year before with Jarvis Cocker because he's his friend.
Yeah.
So Ben is around the beer industry, isn't he?
In and around it. All over it,
yeah. So that's my last bit of Jarvis, I think. Yeah, I'm calling it.
Jarvis Facts will be back next week because Jarvis lives.
He does.
Jarvis lives. I enjoyed comment from Kavindra Vasuthavan.
Oh, yeah.
7838. Said that when handed a bottle by a bartender, the bartender said, "This is not a beer. It is history in a bottle." Oh,
yes, I read this one. This is good.
Which I think is true of many, many, many beers. But I appreciate the, the flourish. Service with a flourish.
Yeah.
I'd like to be handed things over the bar and be told it's history in a bottle.
Doesn't he say, like, after watching this episode, I wish that I'd given him a bigger tip? Is that what he says?
Yeah. I think I should have given my bartender a bigger tip. Yeah, possibly. I don't know where you're from, Kavindra, but in the UK we don't tip. So,
well, we do tip. We don't tip at the bar when someone serves you a pint.
No,
but we do tip for restaurant service and things.
Well,
like
I mean,
that.
if you ask other nations, we don't. That's a cliche about the Brits, isn't it?
Yeah,
that we don't tip.
True.
But we do. We have to have you come up to us with the card machine, and the card machine has to passive aggressively go, "Would you like to add a tip?" Before we realise that that's the that's the social norm.
Yeah. I was watching, I can't remember his name. He's a New York comedian. He's called Kareem, I think. And he talks to people on the subway about various different things. He was talking about tipping culture in New York. And that in coffee shops now, sometimes you can just order like on a machine thing, maybe. And then when you get to the end, there's a cashier that you pay. And he said they aggressively... you pay and then they aggressively flip the iPad screen around onto the tip menu when they haven't actually done anything. So he started like not tipping basically, and which is like, he was like, we haven't done anything. I've ordered it on this machine and da da da. So you can imagine the sort of
who's making the coffee. Is it not a human?
I don't know. No, it must be a human. Yeah.
That's who you're tipping.
But also his point was fair. He was like, you should just pay the staff a fair living wage and absorb it so I don't have to tip. Like, put the price up.
I 100%
I'll pay
agree,
more for a coffee. But he was saying, like, it might be like $10 a coffee. I don't know where this guy's drinking, but $10 a coffee, mate. Insane.
What a world. Yeah. But let's not enter the tipping debate in America because it's fraught.
No. Oh, yeah.
It's fraught.
Oh, yeah.
Tip good people.
Oh,
tip well.
Good people. Yeah.
And we'll stick to tripling.
Nice.
Not that nice. Right, that's all we've got time for this week. All that's left to say is that you need to make sure that you save the date, and the date is the 14th of September. It's a Saturday in the middle of September, and it's at Hackney Brewery, which is in Walthamstow, which is confusing in North London. And it's going to be the best festival you've ever been to. I'm going to say it.
It's going to be great, Johnny.
It's
if you like having a good time, with friendly people, hanging about with the best in beer,
sure,
and making an evening and a daytime, because we're having different sessions, aren't we?
We are.
Or you can stay all day, Johnny, if you're really keen. We're going to have some good deals on tickets, maybe some early bird deals.
Woo! Patreon deals. Woo!
Patreon deals, and we're just working all that sort of stuff out currently, but we will obviously let our lovely Patreon community know first. But yeah, we're super pumped to be working with Malt Miller on it, and we're hoping to make things bigger and better even than last year. Absolutely,
yeah. So details will be coming out in drips and drabs, and of course you'll know when the tickets go on sale as well, because they will sell out, I assure you. So do not delay. Next week, I believe is a Hype Train episode.
Hype Train,
woo woo, with two exceptional beers from a certain brewery in Santa Rosa, California. So we'll see you at 4 p.m. or 3:45 p.m. On Wednesday. And of course, we'll be back for more unedited beer nonsense and vaguely beer adjacent news next week. Love and beer. The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel. And if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and beer.